Welcome to the History in Focus channel. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this one. In this 1906 photo, we see Ka Oots, a woman of the Caddo Nation, with her imposing posture and natural beauty, enhanced by striking features and traditional adornments. The Caddo, originally from regions like Texas and Louisiana, had a great appreciation for aesthetic harmony, reflected in their clothing and ornaments. Their traditions celebrated beauty as a link to the sacred and the ancestral. Goldie Jamison Conklin, known as Awe Ayu, or Pretty Flower, was a Seneca woman of the Heron clan, born in 1892 on the Allegheny Reservation, New York. She modeled for the Cattaraugus Cutlery Company, promoting their Indian brand line of knives and household utensils. In this 1900s photo, a young Native American woman wears attire decorated with fringes and ceremonial necklaces. She holds a feather, a symbol of spiritual connection in her culture. Female beauty was valued in many tribes, not only for appearance, but as a reflection of health and strength. Three young Apache maidens pose next to a teepee in Durango, Colorado, around 1907. This indigenous woman wears a richly decorated ceremonial outfit, demonstrating the importance of clothing in her tribe's cultural expression. The embroidered patterns indicate status and spiritual connection. Many of these clothes were made for special occasions. A woman of the Taos Pueblo people carries a ceramic pot, an essential element of her culture. Produced with locally harvested clay, these receptacles were used to store water and grains. The clothing, with thick fabrics and embroidered blankets, demonstrates adaptation to the mountain climate of New Mexico, where her community has lived for centuries. Lena Geronimo, daughter of Apache leader Geronimo, was born in 1886 in St. Augustine, Florida, while her father was imprisoned at Fort Marion after resisting American rule. Baptized Marion by the doctors, she adopted the name Lena upon returning to the Southwest. This Cherokee woman represents the rich culture of her tribe, known for well-structured villages and advanced political systems, such as the Tribal Council, where important decisions were made. Women had central roles in agriculture and cultural preservation, ensuring the survival of traditions even in difficult times. Marcia Pascal, daughter of Officer George W. Pascal, was half Cherokee and played a crucial role in mediating between Cherokee leaders and American authorities in the 1880s. In addition to translating, she promoted cultural gatherings, where traditional attire and dances were showcased to educate the public about her people's roots. Olive Oatman, captured as a child in 1851 by natives after an attack on her family, was adopted by the Mojave, who tattooed her face according to their tradition. She lived for years with the tribe before being returned to the settlers. Her case became one of the most well-known instances of capture in the West, widely explored in books and newspapers of the time. Two Apache women in front of a decorated teepee, approximately in 1910. Beside it, a wooden structure supports hanging strips, used for drying hides or storing ceremonial objects. Adorned in elaborate fringed and beaded attire, this Cheyenne woman poses in Oklahoma, 1890. Cheyenne women not only made clothing and accessories, but also organized intertribal gatherings to exchange items such as beads and fabrics. Dressed in adorned leather attire and holding a rifle, this Native American woman represents female adaptability in the Old West. Although men led hunts or battles, many women mastered the use of weapons to protect their homes and territories. Little Bird of the Ojibwe Chippewa tribe wears a band decorated with geometric patterns, which represented protection and connection with ancestral spirits. Ojibwe women, in addition to creating ceremonial clothing and accessories, mastered the art of weaving birch bark, making baskets and lightweight canoes. A young woman poses next to her canoe holding a paddle in 1890. Canoes, made of birch bark or wood, were essential for transportation and fishing, allowing for swift movement along rivers. Additionally, women mastered waterproof sewing techniques to seal the canoes and were responsible for teaching children the best river paths and routes essential for the community's survival. Laura Nita Parker, daughter of Quanah Parker, last chief of the Comanches, was born in 1884 in Indian Territory, now Oklahoma. She inherited Star House, Quanah's home, and preserved her family's objects and stories. This is a member of the Spokane tribe, photographed in Washington around 1897. The Spokane, known as the people of the Great River, lived in the Spokane River region for over 9,000 years. The tribal women were skilled fishers, using handmade nets to catch salmon and preparing the fish for drying, ensuring food during harsh winters. A native Pueblo woman from New Mexico is depicted holding ears of corn in a reverent gesture, representing the corn spirit. For the Pueblo peoples, corn was not only the staple of their diet, but also a sacred symbol of life and connection to the land. Dressed in detailed ceremonial attire, Moonbeam, a Potawatomi woman, was photographed around 1909. The Potawatomi, known as the People of the Fire, maintained a strong connection to the land, and the patterns on their clothing often represented natural elements, such as rivers and forests. In this photo, Lori Ki Yatede, daughter of a Navajo chief, appears in traditional attire in Laguna Pueblo, New Mexico in 1905. As the daughter of a leader, she played an essential role in preserving traditions and strengthening alliances among clans. Lily Mae Smith, photographed in 1888, was the daughter of Nimrod Jarrett Smith, leader of the Eastern Cherokee Nation from 1880 to 1891. Her father was instrumental in creating schools that taught both English and the Cherokee language, preserving the culture. On the beach, we see Ada Lopez Richards, a Tolowa woman somewhere in California. Known for her ability to interpret tidal patterns, Ada helped her community predict the best times for fishing and gathering. Additionally, she taught the young to read the signs of nature and created cloaks decorated with unique symbols inspired by the ocean's movements, becoming an admired figure among her people. Lozan, an Apache warrior, was respected for her combat skills and a unique gift that allowed her to foresee enemy movements. By raising her hands to the sky, she could sense the direction and location of her adversaries. She fought in the arid landscapes of the Southwest during the Apache Wars, defending her people against settlers and troops. Isabel Perico Njati, daughter of Chiricahua, Apache leader Perico, was born in 1886 while the Chiricahua were held prisoner at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Known for her courage, she helped organize tasks in the prisoner community, ensuring the unity of her people. These young Indigenous women, photographed between 1870 and 1900, wear richly decorated attire with fringes and beads. The use of beads and specific patterns was not only aesthetic, but also represented cultural identity and social position within the tribe. Many of these garments were handmade and took months to complete. Wearing shell and bead-decorated attire, this young Native American woman, in 1894, was in a period of learning. In adolescence, girls were taught to prepare food, make clothes, and maintain tribal organization. In the Old West, Indigenous life faced constant challenges, and young women were prepared from an early age to face the changes imposed by the advance of settlers. A Hopi mother poses in the village of Walpi, wearing traditional cloaks and cotton boots. The hairstyle with side whirls indicates that they were not yet married, a tradition among the women of the tribe. The Hopi, inhabitants of the Arizona desert, lived in adobe houses built on top of mesas. With long braids and richly adorned garments, this Lakota woman displays shell and bead jewelry, elements that represent protection and cultural heritage. The women of the tribe played a vital role in transmitting stories and sacred rituals. Their detailed attire also represented the spiritual connection to nature and ancestors. In the early 1900s, an Apache woman poses next to finely crafted baskets and ceramics, essential items in daily life and trade. Apache women mastered the art of basketry, using natural fibers to create patterns that conveyed stories. Two young Comanche women posed between 1880 and 1889, wearing attire adorned with detailed patterns and accessories. The Comanche were masters of horsemanship and dominated the Great Plains, subsisting on buffalo hunting. Many also participated in trade, exchanging goods with other tribes and settlers. Women of the Crow tribe are seen in an open field, one of them holding a child. In the early 20th century, the Crow followed a matrilineal system where women had great influence in social organization. In addition to agriculture, they mastered the art of hide tanning. In 1939, June Welch, a Cherokee woman, was captured in a photograph in the Great Smoky Mountains, Tennessee, wearing traditional attire. Her people preserved ancestral knowledge through narratives and rituals, keeping alive the connection to their origins. In this 1913 photo, Little Martin, a young Northern Cheyenne woman, wears an outfit decorated with embroidery and fringes, accompanied by her traditional braids. Cheyenne women created ornate clothing, embroidered leather bags, and blankets, in addition to tending crops and leading spiritual ceremonies. In 1905, 4 young Native women play in a stream, enjoying moments of relaxation in nature. These streams were vital for the tribes, serving for fishing, washing, and even as a gathering point. A Kootenai tribal woman poses next to a canoe on a lakeshore around 1910. The Kootenai, who inhabited the northwestern United States, were known for their canoes made of moose hides over wooden frames. Lightweight and agile, these vessels were ideal for rivers and lakes used for fishing and transportation. In this 1892 photo, we see a young Kiowa woman in traditional attire and simple adornments. The Kiowa were known for their visual narratives, recording historical events on painted hide calendars. Amy Kiowan, photographed in 1895, was respected among the Kiowa for her role in preserving healing rituals. It is said that she assisted shamans in ceremonies where medicinal herbs and chants were used to restore spiritual balance. Bertha Thompson, known as a daughter of the Klamath people, poses firmly. It is said that Bertha had an important role in seasonal ceremonies, where she led chants that invoked abundance and protection for her tribe. Her voice was so admired that travelers and members of other communities sought her out, believing she brought good luck and strengthened spiritual ties with the elements of nature. With her striking beauty, Hattie Tom, a young Chiricahua Apache woman, was photographed in 1899 wearing attire adorned with beads and bone necklaces. Representing her tribe during a period of challenges, she was known for her captivating presence and for actively participating in events that highlighted the cultural heritage of the Chiricahua. Nadine Prakwai Gizai poses for this photograph, wearing an outfit with patterns typical of her people. Indigenous women adapted commercial fabrics into their clothing, combining external influences with native tradition. In addition to being skilled seamstresses, they were responsible for preserving their stories. A young Ute woman poses wrapped in a plaid shawl in this photo taken between 1880 and 1900. The Ute are one of the oldest indigenous peoples of the Rocky Mountains, known for their hunting skills and survival in difficult terrain. This young Comanche woman was photographed in 1885 in Oklahoma Territory. The Comanches were known for their equestrian prowess and their vast dominion over the plains. Lizzie Long Wolf, daughter of Oglala Lakota. Chief Long Wolf distinguished herself as an artist in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show in 1886. At that time, many Native Americans participated in these performances, which offered economic and cultural opportunities. Lizzie, in traditional attire, represented Lakota culture, contributing to the dissemination of her heritage during a period of great change. Photographed in 1904, a Navajo woman sits at the entrance of a traditional dwelling, wearing a shawl typical of the era. The Navajo, known for their weaving and trading skills, maintained exchange networks with other tribes and settlers. Here, we see 2 young Tiwa women involved in harvesting, surrounded by baskets and ceramic bowls around 1905. The Tiwa, known for their agriculture and artisanal production, used woven baskets to transport food such as pine nuts and wild berries. Harvests were stored for winter or used in community rituals and festivities. In 1902, Miss Two Bears of the Yanktonai tribe was photographed at Fort Yates, North Dakota. The Yanktonai are a Dakota group that occupied the Great Plains, known for their clan-based social structure and the central role of women in cultural preservation. A Crow tribal mother holds her baby in a 1912 portrait inside a teepee, wearing richly beaded clothing. The Crow were known for their hunting skills and their culture based on courage and generosity. Women had great prestige, caring for traditions and creating elaborate ceremonial attire. Winona, firstborn, was the daughter of Sioux Chief Red Iron, a leader who resisted unjust treaties that threatened his people. Following her father's legacy, she dedicated herself to preserving Sioux traditions, participating in sacred ceremonies. Her strength and commitment helped keep Sioux culture alive during times of great challenges. Here we see 4 Hopi women preparing corn flour, an important task in their traditions. The elaborate hairstyles known as butterfly whirls highlighted their cultural identity and symbolized availability for marriage. Grinding corn was a sacred act, as the grain, a dietary staple, was considered a gift from ancestral spirits, making the role of these women fundamental in community life. 2 Tiwa girls outside a Pueblo house, wearing traditional clothes and with their typical hairstyles. The houses, made of adobe, were built in several stories, connected by wooden ladders. The Tiwa cultivated corn, beans, and squash, the basis of their diet. In a field of goldenrod in 1910, 2 girls hold branches of the flower, highly valued for its medicinal properties, such as in the treatment of pain and infections. Goldenrod was also used as a natural dye for fabrics and baskets. From a young age, the girls learned to identify and collect important plants, ensuring the preservation of their community's traditional knowledge. Here we see a Sioux maiden around 1908. The Sioux were known for their ingenuity, using every part of the buffalo to create clothing, tools, and shelters. Although councils were generally composed of male leaders, women like her had significant influence, being consulted on community-related issues, such as harvests, rituals, and alliances between tribes. In this portrait, a young Lakota woman wears attire adorned with elk teeth, rare and highly valued materials. As each elk only has 2 specific teeth for decoration, they were symbols of prestige. A young Tissawatanok woman, part of the Kwakwaka'wakw, who inhabited the coastal areas of British Columbia. Living close to the sea, their culture was deeply connected to marine resources. The shell earrings she wears symbolize this relationship. Zit Kalasa was born in 1876 on the Yankton Reservation, South Dakota, and grew up in a Sioux community. She became a writer and activist, using her voice to preserve the stories and traditions of her people. She also denounced injustices against Indigenous peoples and helped found the National Council of American Indians. Here we see a young woman from the Taos Pueblo community in New Mexico in 1895. The people of Taos lived in one of the oldest settlements in America, with adobe constructions that remain inhabited to this day. A group of Acoma women is depicted descending among rock formations, carrying ceramic pots in their hands. Acoma Village, known as Sky City, is located on top of a mesa and is one of the oldest continuously inhabited communities in America. Inusk, daughter of a Kickapoo chief, was an example of her people's pride and tradition. Around 1885, she participated in ceremonies with dances and adornments made of beads and feathers, full of spiritual meanings. The Kickapoo were masters of strategic movements, frequently relocating to escape threats, preserve their lands, and protect their culture. Anna Cash of the Cayuse tribe lived in the region of present-day Oregon and Washington. Her precisely woven fiber hat represented status and tribal identity. The Cayuse, known for their equestrian skills and diplomacy, used these items in exchanges that reinforced alliances or secured important resources such as tools and food essential for community life. In 1900, a young Hopi woman prepares for marriage wearing hand-wrapped cotton boots and a special white blanket. This attire symbolized the acceptance of her new position in the community and her commitment to her clan. For the Hopi, marriage was not just a family event, but a moment to reaffirm alliances between groups and celebrate the continuity of the lineage. Susan Bullock Tibbets, born in 1895, was the daughter of William Galt Bullock, a Euro-American, and Mary Headwoman, a Northern Cheyenne woman. Growing up during a period of forced assimilation, Susan faced pressure to abandon her indigenous culture and adopt Euro-American customs. A young Tiwa woman poses in 1906, photographed by Edward Curtis. Her distinct hairstyle, known as the hair whirl style, indicated that she was single, a tradition among Pueblo women. The Tewa, part of the Pueblo people, are known for their refined pottery and spiritual ceremonies. A young Apache woman poses around 1870, wearing a ceremonial outfit richly decorated with fringes and beads. The Apache deeply valued rites of passage, and marriage was marked by exchanges of gifts and community blessings. A young Wishran woman poses in an elaborate ceremonial costume, covered with beads, shells, and coins, symbols of status and cultural heritage. The Wishran, inhabitants of the Columbia River region, depended on salmon fishing for their subsistence. Lucy, a young woman of the Papago tribe, today known as Tohono O'odham, poses with a basket balanced on her head, an essential skill for transporting food and grains. Inhabitants of the Arizona desert, her people developed advanced techniques for water harvesting and cultivation. Alice, photographed around 1900, wears a traditional outfit decorated with beads, an ornate belt, and striking circular earrings. She possibly belongs to the Cayuse, Walla Walla, or Umatilla peoples. Amy and Carrie, photographed in 1895, wear embroidered blankets and carry ornate quivers, a portrait of their Kiowa heritage. The women of the tribe played an essential role in cultural preservation, making detailed clothing and participating in spiritual ceremonies. Photographed in 1890, this young Kiowa woman wears a ceremonial outfit made of leather and adorned with shells and fringes. The clothing was frequently customized for special events, such as dances and rites of passage. Her people, originally nomadic, mastered the art of horsemanship and were recognized for their combat skills. Kate Thunder Miner of the Ho-Chunk Nation was a skilled artist from Black River Falls, Wisconsin. Her creations included painted fabrics and detailed embroideries, each piece bearing traditional figures. Sarah Winnemucca, born around 1844, was a Paiute leader who served as an interpreter and mediator between her tribe and the U.S. government. During the Bannock War, she worked as a guide and messenger. In 1883, she published Life Among the Paiutes, the first book written by a Native American woman. In 1907, Red Elk Woman, a young Sioux woman, is seated wearing traditional attire of her tribe. The Sioux are known for their rich and complex culture. Sioux women played essential roles in society, including making clothing and transmitting cultural knowledge to subsequent generations. Tall Prairie Chicken, a Dakota woman, was photographed in the early 1880s, wearing attire adorned with beads and traditional jewelry. Her name gave rise to Tall Prairie Chicken Creek in Dewey County, South Dakota. Recognized for her leadership, she helped protect hunting areas during difficult times. In this photo, a Comanche mother holds her baby in a cradle board, used to transport and protect the child while she went about her daily family life. This support allowed mothers to be free to work, whether collecting food or making items. From an early age, children learned about culture and traditions through the stories and teachings that mothers transmitted during these moments. An Apsaroki woman is seen scraping hide stretched on the ground, held down by several stakes. This process removed hair and residue, preparing the material for making clothes, tents, and tools. After scraping, the hide was softened with animal fat, rubbed with smooth stones or bones, and then smoked to ensure flexibility and resistance, steps that required patience and skill. In this early 1900s photo, Carlota Chiwiwi of the Isleta Pueblo people stands beside her daughters, Maria and Felicita Tura, with a typewriter a rare item in indigenous communities at the time. During this period, the introduction of such technologies in schools and missions had a direct impact on women's education, as they began to learn new skills while still maintaining their responsibilities. With the traditional Whirls hairstyle, symbolizing availability for marriage, two young Hopi women pose in front of an adobe construction in Arizona. The hairstyle was created by twisting hair into wide strands, shaped with wooden rings and secured with plant fibers. Two indigenous women are gathered around a pot, awaiting their meal beside a fire. Meals were prepared with simple ingredients, such as corn, squash, and roots, often supplemented by dried meats or fish. Women used traditional techniques to preserve food, such as smoking and drying, ensuring the tribe's sustenance even during periods of scarcity. Two women of the Flathead tribe pose on horseback on the Flathead Indian Reservation in western Montana in 1907. Dressed in traditional attire adorned with beads and blankets, they show the importance of the horse in their culture. For the Flathead people, horses were essential for transportation and hunting, in addition to symbolizing prestige. The women cared for the animals and produced the pieces that adorned the horses. Three Maricopa women photographed in 1907 balance baskets on their heads while posing next to saguaro cacti. The baskets used to collect fruits and seeds were handmade from plant fibers. The Maricopa people depended on desert resources for their survival, using saguaro fruits to produce syrups and drinks in addition to using them as a food source. Two Dakota women hang meat to dry in front of a tent in November 1908. The process involved cutting the meat, usually buffalo, into thin strips to facilitate dehydration. This technique was crucial for survival, as it allowed food to be stored for months. Dried meat, rich in nutrients, was used on journeys and to prepare traditional pemmican, a mixture with fat and fruits. An Apache woman holding her child, comfortably placed in a decorated cradleboard. This support, used for carrying babies, was made of wood and leather, often adorned with beads or colorful fabrics. In addition to offering safety and practicality, there was a belief that the cradleboard helped strengthen the baby's spine, as it maintained an aligned posture, which also facilitated transportation on long walks. In a scene in California, an indigenous woman is seen in front of a traditional house made of branches and leaves, sitting with bundles of brushes used for weaving. The simple dwellings were designed for the local climate, offering protection against intense heat. Pretty Eyes, a Cheyenne woman photographed in 1880, was admired for her unique abilities. Known for taming wild horses, she also painted war shields with symbols of protection, something that required spiritual and artistic knowledge. Here we see Tall Prairie Chicken, a Dakota woman in the early 1880s. It is said that she led efforts to protect hunting areas during a period of scarcity, securing vital resources for her community, which made her an admired figure among the Dakota. Another photo of Sarah Winnemucca, daughter of Paiute leaders, was a defender of her people's rights. Fluent in several languages, she served as an interpreter and mediator in relations with the U.S. government. During the Bannock War of 1878, she served as a scout assisting in strategic missions. Around 1860, this young Hopi woman carries the rich tradition of her people, whose culture revolved around the cycles of the earth. The baskets around her were used in ceremonies to store sacred grains such as blue corn, which symbolized life and abundance. In this image, a Klamath woman rests in a canoe on a field of wokas, yellow water lilies, found in the Klamath Basin, Oregon. Wokas were essential to the Klamath diet, who harvested their nutrient-rich seeds for consumption and storage. Molly Burkhart, second from the right, poses with her three sisters, all victims of one of the darkest chapters in Osage history in the 1920s. Rita Smith, on the left, died in an explosion. Anna Brown, second from the left, was shot, and Minnie Smith, on the right, succumbed to a peculiar illness. These murders were part of a series of crimes motivated by greed for the Osage's oil wealth, depicted in the film Killers of the Flower Moon. Betty Hunter of the Nakota Nation holds a pipe. Among the Nakota, the pipe was used in sacred ceremonies to establish spiritual connections and seal pacts during important gatherings. Made of red stone and carved wood, each detail of the pipe represented elements of nature, symbolizing the union between earth and sky. Pretty Nose, a Cheyenne woman, was photographed in 1878 at Fort Keogh, Montana, by L.A. Huffman. Known as a warrior, she is believed to have fought in the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876. The beaded necklace and the hide she wears represent status and connection to ancestral traditions. Ute women and children pose in 1894, with babies wrapped in traditional carriers used for protection and comfort. The Ute, inhabitants of the Rocky Mountains, were excellent hunters and traders. Their women played essential roles, transmitting knowledge about medicinal herbs and survival in nature. A Paiute woman grinds seeds at the entrance of her brush shelter in the 1870s, while 2 children accompany her. The Paiute, inhabitants of the American West, depended on gathering native plants for food. Their lightweight dwellings allowed for mobility in search of resources. 2 Native American girls in front of a teepee between 1890 and 1915. They learned from an early age to embroider, cook, care for siblings, and prepare medicinal herbs with the women of the village. It was a practical and spiritual education. In 1905, Rosa Lame Dog, a young Itazapcola Lakota woman, daughter of James Lame Dog and Grace Blue Cloud, she wears a bone necklace and ceremonial plains attire. Not all Indigenous children wore this necklace. Its use indicated that the family had prestige or that Rosa would participate in important ceremonies. Angelique Lamoose, granddaughter of a Flathead chief, poses in 1900 in an outfit made by her mother. The dress features fringes and beads typical of the Salish people, worn for celebrations, prayers, and harvest ceremonies. Native women cook outdoors. The cauldron hanging over the fire shows one of the most common methods of food preparation on the plains. Soups of buffalo meat, roots, and gathered herbs were slowly boiled. 3 young women of the Yakima Nation dressed in traditional ceremonial leather attire with fringes, beads, and floral embroidery, as well as headbands and feather head ornaments, symbols of honor, spirituality, and tribal identity. Young Hopi women from Walpi pose wearing traditional cloaks and wrapped cotton boots, attire used in important ceremonies. Their whorl-shaped hairstyles indicate that they are single, a custom among the women of the tribe. The Hopi live in villages built on mesas in Arizona.